We're going to jump to Raw. That happened on April 28th, 2025, obviously. There were 10,500 people there. I guess that wasn't a sellout, was it, Dave?
That was a sellout.
It was? Okay, cool. The
Yeah.
T-Mobile Center in Kansas, Missouri. They usually have pretty good crowds there, but most of the time these days their crowds are pretty decent. It started off with Seth Rollins. He's coming out with a robe. I don't think it was as crazy as his stuff usually has been. Because he comes in wearing some crazy shit sometimes. Jeweled sunglasses on his eyes. He declares himself the true WrestleMania main event winner. He did his thing with the Visionary, the Revolutionary, all that. He's got Paul out there and Bron Breakker. They're introducing their new unnamed faction. I saw something like it's going to maybe be the Trio of Terror, which I hope that's not what it is, because that sounds cheap.
That's not great. That's like some I don't even know what to say. That's not a good name though. Let's not use that.
Remember
Hopefully.
the Triangle of Terror? I think was the one that they had with Pac and the Lucha Brothers over in AEW.
The Death Triangle.
Yeah, I thought that one wasn't very good either.
It's always death something with these AEW. Anyway, we'll get to hating on AEW later.
But Zayn comes out, which is cool because he man, he can talk. Like everything he does, he does a great job. I mean, he's always been a pretty decent wrestler, but when it comes to like sympathetic baby faces, he's like the guy right now.
Yeah, and he's been gone since I think his Royal Rumble match with Kevin Owens. So this was kind of his return.
Was it? Okay, I feel like maybe he came back the week before, but I can't remember anything.
Maybe he did. Maybe I'm having a blonde moment here, but yeah. Either way,
yeah. Remember he's
back.
Remember he celebrated with Jay.
That's right. That's right. He did come back last week. I'm an idiot.
No, so am I. So I guess we're both there. But he accused Rollins of being a hypocrite, and Rollins was like, how could this be like the Shield? This is completely different. I'm not a hypocrite. And then he said it's just another bloodline, and he was just like, Rollins, good shit here, great delivery. He's a bad guy, but he sounds like he believes his own shit, and he basically told Zayn that he respects him and he'll do a favor for him and try to get him on SmackDown, and he'll get him a title shot right away, I believe was one of the other things. And segment ended, and that was basically it on that part. This is some of obviously the top program on Raw for now, and it's good shit. I really enjoy anything that they're involved with. What about you, Dave?
Yeah, I mean, you want to see them doing stuff with the top guys, and goes back to what you and I had talked about the other week when they had Bron Breakker lose the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania. Usually, when they have the guys that are in the mid card with the Intercontinental belt lose it, especially that first time, it's part of an elevation process. And even though they lost their previous match, they kind of pull them up to the main event level. And that's definitely what they're doing with Bron here. And this is going to be a great group. All three guys are stars. Heyman is one of the greatest orators in the history of the business. Rollins' outfit here, you know how he always comes out proclaiming himself the Messiah. This actually felt kind of Messiah-like to me. I don't know how to quantify it or describe it other than that, but his outfit was pretty cool. The eyes that were on the lenses of his glasses were I don't know why, but that popped me and entertained me. I saw a lot of negative feedback on that online, but I don't know. I thought the glasses were pretty entertaining.
Yeah, they were nuts looking.
And yeah, but good segment. I hope that they don't name it the Triangle of Terror or whatever it was that you just said a minute ago. Trio. Anything of terror is not great. I don't know. That sounds very, juvenile for lack of a better word.
Anything Paul's involved with is going to be one of the major things on the show, and it's pretty cool that he's going to be working with Bron, and I'm sure that they're going to turn on Seth at some point, and
oh yeah,
that this will be his new guy, and this will be like the last guy before he retires that he like really is a big part of their career and all that.
That's funny to see all the different guys that he's had his hands on throughout the years, and just how big of stars that they became or will become.
When he was with Cesaro?
Yeah.
Was he with Jake Hager as well?
No, that was Dutch.
That's right. He
Mantel.
Well, it actually worked for them. I just remember he was with a couple guys and it didn't work out. Or it was Ryback, I believe. who he was with
Was
for.
it with Ryback?
Yeah, I feel like he was for like maybe like a couple months, and it didn't last very
Man,
long.
I don't know. I didn't watch much of the Ryback stuff. That was during
So
Punk's more popular run, but just whenever Ryback was on, that was a
I
go get a drink.
I was taking a break at the time, but that's when they had The Rock involved for WrestleMania against Cena, I believe again. So
Yep.
for number two, so I kind of was just watching again because the Rock brings in the casual viewer, and that's what I was at the time. I completely fallen out of watching, and Ryback was one of the guys that they had on there at the time because Cena was hurt, so they tossed him in that main event instead of Cena at that point. I forget what the event was, but either way, that's kind of not what we're talking about here. We always get off on them, but it's good. I think that kind of added to that one.
Long story short, Ryback fucking sucks, and there's a reason that no promotions brought that guy in after he was gone. But anyway, we'll move on from that. We get into this next match here, and it's Rhea Ripley versus Roxanne Perez.
It's pretty
And
cool.
yeah, I'm gonna let you start with this one, TJ.
Well, Ripley came out. She got her mommy chants like always. They got that DBI meter or whatever. That says how loud the reaction is in her when she comes out. And
Yeah,
how I pointed out to you the other day, I think it was the exact same tone and levels as WrestleMania, which doesn't make any sense. I think
no,
that thing is fake, and I'm not believing it. But
yeah,
anyways,
it's a worked DBI meter. Yeah,
but it was a pretty good match. Like Perez was trying to play little mind games with her and landing cheap shots and targeting Ripley's knee. Perez stayed aggressive, but Ripley cuts her off with the barricade and slammed her with a delayed suplex. Perez regained control by damaging her knee some more. Mid-match, Perez hit a moonsault and applied a death lock, and then Ripley powered back with a razor's edge with some near falls. With the finish, Julia came out and distracted Ripley, and Perez nearly steals it with a roll-up, and Ripley regained control, but Julia chop blocked Ripley's knee. So, obviously they called it, and Ripley won by DQ there. And then post-match, Perez and Julia double-teamed Ripley, and Io Sky made the save, but she got attacked as well, and Ripley eventually ran him off. And it was all right, It was a serviceable enough match. It was pretty good for what it was. They're not
yeah.
they're not giving you the quality match the first time, or the pay-per-view level match right away. They're going to tease it for you. They're not going to give you the real finish, and they're going to be like, oh man, I wonder what's going to happen when these two actually do wrestle a match that doesn't have any interference. Then it's typical WWE booking. It's good for what it was, and it always leaves you a little bit hype for more instead of seeing the full package right away and already knowing what exactly they can do. It's two different mindsets, but one obviously works more for continued interest in what happens down the line, right?
Exactly. And I mean, I thought this match wasn't bad. I enjoyed how they had Rhea work big and Roxanne work small. I mean, it's impossible for Roxanne not to work small.
Rhea's
She's
one
like
of the
5
bigger
foot tall.
chicks on the roster.
But I mean, they were really able to emphasize her bigness in this match, and tell the story of chopping down the tree or hitting the legs of the giant, so to speak, that we've seen a lot of times when small guys fight big men. Perez is a future star, man. I know I keep saying this every time that we bring her up. She's going to be doing big things in the future. I like what she does. Rhea's already a star, so I mean, Perez is getting the rub off of her a little bit.
We've been talking about that a lot the past couple episodes, I believe. The future chicks coming up, and we'll get into it later. But with some of those releases that they just did, it's kind of obvious why, because they're about to have an influx of women. We brought that up on the last podcast. We were literally saying like, some of the chicks there better get ready to be released in the next couple weeks, because there's some females coming up and they don't have time for everybody. And it literally happened within the week, right?
Yep. And a lot of the releases will land on their feet, and we'll talk about that later. But
they'll be fine. There's money.
Yeah.
Even on the indies, there's more money than ever. Everybody's doing great. But
they just got to follow the Matt Cardona blueprint.
He's an exception though, because he has the big WWE rub for such a long time, and
yeah,
he's pretty decent. But you want to jump us into the next one?
Yeah, so the match ends. Obviously, we're past that, and we get a little backstage segment with the Judgment Day. And JD McDonough came back last week, and he returned. And Baylor is, you can tell that they're teasing some dissension because Baylor is a little butthurt that he wasn't told by anybody that JD was going to be back or anything. And then Liv tells them that they're going to be doing a tag team title match against the War Raiders tonight. That she had talked in, who's it, Nick Aldis, and got him a match for the tag team titles since they weren't champions. You know, she figured they'd want to be champions. And Baylor is kind of hyped for that, but he's also still kind of pissed off that people aren't communicating with him. And there's going to be, he'll be the one that splits off at some point, and hopefully he'll do something a little bit better than what he's doing now. And Carlito, as the segment ends, jokes about that he should be a champion too, and that'd be cool. I like Carlito as their little comedic relief. It's an okay little backstage segment. I'm not crazy about all this stuff. What about you?
I don't know. I mean, they've been doing these little backstage clubhouse segments with them ever since I started watching again. They're all right. They serve a purpose. You know, everybody in it's pretty good. I like Carlito. He's funny. He was definitely doing some way funnier shit though, like about 5 months ago. You know, with like the boner thing, and
Yeah.
that was pretty good. But you know, JD McDonough's head's huge. They've been teasing dissension between fucking Balor and everybody else for a while. Should be cool when this happens. I wonder who's going to turn on who. I bet you it's going to be the Judgment Day, and it's going to make Balor come out kind of like a face type guy. But
circling back to JD, maybe it's because I haven't seen him in a while, but he looked to be in better shape than what he was the last time I saw him. I don't know if he got a little bit more size to him or if he's more cut, but he definitely looks to be in better shape than what he was when he had gotten injured. So I guess that time off, because, you know, with a rib injury, you can still work out pretty hard. You just got to limit what you're doing with your core. So yeah, I don't know. He looks great. Whatever he did, he keep doing.
And Carlito ended it though with chewing on that apple.
Yeah.
And then we toss to the next thing with Logan Paul coming out. He was calling out Jey Uso. You know, they kind of had something last week too, I think. And Logan Paul insulted the city and said it's time for a world title run. Jey Uso responded saying Paul can't take what he fought 15 years for. They had a little heated exchange, which ended in a super kick from Uso. It's funny, like, Jey Uso's the man, but his super kicks look terrible. Like,
yeah,
you remember like Shawn Michaels' super kick back in the day was straight. Jey Uso's is like a fucking Nike mark. I think
that's a good description.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
This is all right though. You know, Jey Uso, they're actually like positioning him now that he has like confidence and shit, and he's standing on his own, and he's I don't know. I like all the stuff they have Jey Uso doing these days. He's obviously over with the crowd, despite what anybody would have you believe, and the reactions that happen in person are really the only ones that matter, and he's getting them better than anybody, you know.
One of the most over guys in the industry, not just in the WWE. I mean that.
Yeah.
The dude is over everywhere he goes.
Yeah.
Despite his weak super kick.
Yeah. I mean, he's not the best in ring in general, but he's good enough, and people care, so that's really what matters. I mean, you remember somebody like Hogan. He wasn't tearing the fucking roof off the place every night, but you wouldn't know that by the reactions from the crowd.
Right, people were losing their minds back then.
Yep.
But yeah, so that was kind of the segment, and it was a little foreshadowing for things to come. I assume, and this match hasn't been announced yet, but it looks like they're building to a Logan Paul Jey Uso match at Backlash.
For sure.
Backlash is 6 days from now, though, so if they're going to announce that match, I imagine it'll probably be tomorrow on Raw. I mean, otherwise, when are you going to announce it? Yeah, there's not a whole lot of matches even announced for that card yet. But we'll get to that later in the episode here. The next match that we have is the Judgment Day, consisting of Finn Balor and JD McDonough versus the War Riders. And, you know, they make their little entrances, and man, these War Rider guys, I don't know what they're doing with them. They're Vikings one week. Yeah. What did I say? Riders?
Yeah. Who fucking cares, man?
Close enough. They're fucking bikers one week. They're Vikings one week. I don't know what's going on with these guys. I assume that they're placeholder champions, and they'll be used to get somebody over later. But they dominate the match early. McDonough kind of regroups because
They're
of
not champions
Carlito's
anymore, by the
distraction.
way.
Oh, they're not?
No,
Oh,
the New
that's
Day
right.
took it
They
from them,
lost it
remember?
to the New Day.
Yeah.
That's right. So they were placeholder champions. I'm an idiot. Ivar gets in the ring after a hot tag and starts to clean house, and Penta interferes actually and ends up costing them the match. And the War, I almost called them War Riders again. We're just gonna call them the War Riders. Whatever comes out when we're talking about these guys. And then post match, Penta is doing like his little Penta Razor Ramon style walk across the commentary desk, teasing the Judgment Day and the New Day. And then that's kind of it. What did you think of this match, TJ? I thought it was kind of forgettable.
Not much. It's some stuff happened. Some guys wrestled. They got Pent out there doing something. They obviously have pretty big hopes for that guy, which why wouldn't they? I don't know. I'd rather call the War Raiders Dumby and Fuckio, man. They I don't care about anything they do, man. But maybe that'll change. Triple H.
Didn't they used to have a girl in their group with them or something?
Yeah, remember it was that chick that's in the Wyatt Six now.
Nah, it was some other gal.
It was Laya Valkyrie.
Was it?
Yeah, I mean, she had the. I'm pretty sure it was. I'd look it up. I
think it was some bigger gal. Like she had some size on her. That was that. She ended up being out because she got pregnant.
I don't know, but who fucking cares? I'd just look it up real quick if you want to know. But Triple H sucks at fucking booking the tag team division. It's kind of like Vince. Not really much to talk about here, but we had some good stuff pop up after this. We got Heyman, and they were backstage in the locker room, and Heyman came back and offered Zayn the SmackDown trade plus a title shot at the winner of Cena versus Orton. Braun Breaker was glaring at the doorway. I'm pretty sure this is where he told him that he wanted a match from him, right? And he was like, this guy, he was basically putting over Braun, and he was saying, this guy's instrumental to our plans, and he wanted a match against you tonight. Basically saying that, he was going to make it happen. And, Zayn's delivery is fucking awesome. Paul Heyman's one of the best talkers of all time. I like what they're doing with Braun. It's nice that they have direction for him instantly the next night. Should be good stuff. Looking forward to what happens here, and pretty sure you feel the same, right?
Yeah, he's a believable badass. His intense face is so good. Like, you actually believe that he's gonna beat the shit out of somebody. It's like, okay, believable tough guy. Zayn is one of the best sympathetic baby faces of the modern era, and there's nothing really more that I can add to that segment. It was they're doing good storytelling and good story building. I'd like to see where they're going to go with this. I assume that at some point it's going to lead to like a 3-way deal, or they'll be like almost like what they did with the NWO back in the day, where they have a match and it's a tag team match, like a 2-on-2, and it'll be like Rollins and Breaker versus like Roman and Punk, and then Sami will be out there maybe, or some kind of weird shit happens, and then the third man comes out. I don't know. There's going to be another guy for this group, I think. I don't think it'll just end up being just those two too, and Heyman.
It's basically what you were just saying, though, is like Zayn's the ultimate like sympathetic baby face, and all the heels are getting cheered these days, so this is probably the only guy that they can get real heat on themselves with. I mean, it's smart booking,
Yeah.
That literally exactly what you're supposed to do, because there's almost no such thing as real heat these days. But we'll jump right into the next one. It's Becky Lynch, confession, that she attacked Bayley, and then she challenged Lyra. Becky admitted she attacked Bayley. I don't know, something about Becky these days, man. Her just delivery's strange. She said Bayley forgot what wrestling's about, and she turned her focus to Valkyria. Lyra came out and interrupted, challenges Lynch at a Backlash. She looks way better with normal clothing on.
She does. When she doesn't have that goofy bird shit going on. I definitely noticed her.
Yes.
More than I usually notice her, is the gentlemanly way to say that. Yeah.
And a little brawl broke out. Valkyria won it. And and then Becky attacked her from behind because Valkyria kind of went up to the ramp and was like posing with the belt, and then Becky like ran around and attacked her from the entrance.
Yeah.
Pretty cool little smart thing they did there, but it's weird how these heels always got to be outsmarting these faces all the time these days. But I guess she's supposed to be more experienced, right? So that's probably
Right.
why they did that. And if you want, you can
Part of the things with faces is they make them dumb.
yeah,
It's
it is funny. But jump us into the next one if you don't have anything.
yeah.
To add
So we get a little backstage thing with Penta, Aldis, and Gable, and Aldis is warning Penta, but books him against JD McDonough next week. He's warning him about the Judgment Day and things of that nature. And then he's done talking with him, and he's kind of walking away. And Chad Gable comes up and starts kind of being a smart ass to Penta and mocking Penta and mocking Phoenix about mocking Penta about Rey Fenix and him both losing their matches at WrestleMania. Penta gives him a super kick and gives him a little yell in the face and does his little zero miedo or however you say it thing right in his face. And that was kind of it for that segment. It was
not a
good
lot
little
going
segment. I like what they're doing with all of these guys that they have in this segment.
Yeah,
but
like,
I mean that was kind of it.
Chad Gable's going to be like instrumental in some big that AAA thing that they're going to be doing and all that, and the big event that they're going to have for that for the first time mixed with everybody. Yeah, it was a good little segment. It's nice to have direction and things being furthered and the making sense. Wrestling this setup doesn't have to be something that like blows your mind or be anything that's great all the time. Consistency is, I think, what you're going for more these days, and that's definitely what this was, and not bad stuff. And we'll jump right on to the next one. It's backstage with Stephanie Vakir. Little walkthrough with her. The NXT Women's Champion Stephanie Vakir gets a huge ovation when she was walking through backstage.
Big pop from the crowd when they showed her on the screen. They really like her, and so do I.
Yeah, she's great in the ring. She's fucking star, man. She made the right decision coming over here.
Yep.
Then we got a little video package with Rusev returning. Dark cinematic vignette. Rusev rejects his past and vows to fix others through pain. Calls himself the Tempest rolling in. It's basically the Redeemer shit again that he was doing in AEW. I know a lot of people don't like that stuff, but I really enjoyed it. This was like kind of earlier on in AEW when they were doing better and it was a better show, and he was a part of the reason why. I liked the Redeemer stuff once they got him away from the video game shit. And had him doing this more serious stuff. I enjoyed it. They had him with the TNT belt, and I hope that they got some good stuff for him here because he's a legitimate monster and he's believable. His promos don't suck. He knows what he's doing, and like I said, hopefully they do good stuff with him, right? Oh yeah, he like to parrot what you said. The AEW promos that he was doing were great. And it was kind of like, man, this whole time, this is the dude we've been watching getting cucked out over in WWE. I mean, yep.
So for them to bring him back and he's kind of doing the Redeemer style stuff, I think is going to be redeeming for him instead of the shit that they had him doing before. I'll just call a spade a spade. It is what it is. That they didn't have him doing very great stuff before. And then from there, we got the match with Ivy Nile and Stephanie Vakir. It is a non-title match, and Ivy Nile was accompanied by Chad Gable, so there'll be some kind of nonsense and chicanery on his end, probably. Who knows? But the match starts, and Stephanie Vakir goes to do like a test of strength, and Ivy Nile declines that and starts to run in and start grappling with her because she's a amateur wrestling chick, and Vakir answers back with some slick counters and a suplex and goes for an early devil's kiss, but Nile manages to escape, only to be hit with it not too long afterwards. And the crowd really pops for that move. I mean, that's obviously everybody's going to love it. It is what it is. That's a crowd popper. So then we go to commercial. What do you think of what's going on in the beginning of this match so far?
I mean, it was all right. What you would expect. Ivy Nile's decent. She's tight in the ring. You don't really see her fucking up. She's not sloppy. and Stephanie Fakir, she's great. You know, she's one of the better girls in ring these days. You know, just pretty much what you'd expect. This goes more with what we were talking about earlier. They're not giving away the matches on TV. They're just teasing you. So, you know,
Right.
this is just what it was.
And so then we come back from the commercial, and as we come back from the commercial, she's hitting her with another devil's kiss. The crowd's popping, everybody's loving it, and
Yeah,
then
she
hits
knows.
her. Yeah, oh yeah, she knows. I mean, she is a smart woman. She knows exactly what she's doing. Everything is calculated on her end. She knows what's going to get a reaction. But anyway, she smashes her with that meteor in the corner, which is a great move, and then goes for the pin, and Gable puts Niall's foot up on the rope to save her, and then Vakir kind of confronts him a little bit and is distracted by Gable, and she gets hit with a German suplex on the floor, which can't feel great, even though we have these modern wrestling mats. You know, those that's how Big E got his neck broke, so you got to be careful with some of that stuff. And Niall connects with a kick in the corner and a bridging suplex, and gets a little bit of offense in, and Vakir stuns her and hits her with a superplex out of the corner. You know, it's pretty good move. The superplex is always a nice classic move.
Yeah, it is.
And then they
sure.
get a little bit of striking back and forth. Vakir goes for the SVB, but Niall counters it and gets her caught up in the ropes. And Vakir hits her with that dragon screw in the corner that she does. That dragon screw leg whip that she does looks vicious. And then she hits her with a SVB clean and gets her with the pin and wins the match. What'd you think about all this?
Yeah, it was a good match. You know, it's kind of what I said earlier. Everything was tight. Nobody was fucking up. Both of these girls know what they're doing, and it's cool. At least, like, you know, Ivy Nile, at least right now, it doesn't feel like she's ever going to be positioned prominently in the company, but at least she gets to be like the person that's putting these people over and looking good while they're doing it. You know.
Right, she's a hell of a hand. There's not a lot of holes in her in-ring work.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like she's doing anything crazy, but she's tight, so the stuff she's doing looks good. But
Her matches don't look like they're in slow motion, and that's a good compliment, because there's a lot of women's matches that you watch, and you and I talk about it all the time, even if it's not on the show, that some of these matches that some of these ladies do definitely look like they're in slow motion.
Yeah, Vakir's going to have one of the either the U.S. Intercontinental or one of the two main women's championships within the next year, like for sure.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah, they're gonna push her to the moon. Which, why wouldn't you? She's gonna look great. But it'll be her and Charlotte at WrestleMania next year. Charlotte will get to put somebody else over.
Is she the new gatekeeper?
I don't know. I mean, she's never gonna put on a bad match in a situation like that.
That's true.
And she's the one to do it. But we'll jump right on. As Pat McAfee responding to Gunther's attack. This whole thing's kind of confusing because I don't really think it's something that needs to happen or anybody wants to see. But, you know, he recounted his journey, calls himself loyal and proud of Michael Cole, and he called Gunther's suspension unfair. Nick Aldis books McAfee versus Gunther at Backlash. He basically had to beg him to do it. And he was like, "You don't want to do this," and he was just like hyping himself up, and I don't know. This is fucking strange. I don't really understand.
He's out there dropping a couple of F-bombs on live TV.
Yeah, I don't really understand
during
the
his
point of
promo.
this whole thing, but
His promo was good.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a good promo. That was literally a professional level promo. But I don't know. To your point, I don't know why we need to see Pat McAfee wrestling Gunther,
he was like,
who was one of the most dominant champions in recent memory, and now he's going to wrestle an announcer. What the fuck kind of sense does that make?
"I forgot who I was." I don't know. It's weird shit, man. But whatever.
And we're also talking about the guy that had the potential worst WrestleMania match in history. I mean, I realize that a lot of that's probably Vince McMahon's fault, but yeah, this is a whole lot of what the fuck are we doing here?
Hit 100%. But maybe they'll surprise us. I don't know how, but
Yeah, well, he took a good stunner when Steve Austin gave him one. I'll give him that.
yeah, he did. I mean, he's remember his match against Vince? We had.
Yeah.
Is that the one that we had the short with that said the worst match in WrestleMania history?
Yep, literally the worst match. We can't say for sure it's the worst WrestleMania match of all time, but
Not great.
it probably is. It's up there. If it's not the worst one, it's like top 3.
Yeah. But we'll go ahead and move right on. It's backstage with Zayn, Jey Uso, Logan Paul attacked him, so it was like a little emotional exchange between Zayn and Jey Uso. And then when Zayn walked away, Logan Paul kind of left Jey Uso how he did earlier, left him laying, and he was like, "That's karma," which leads us further to what we were talking about. Like they're definitely gonna end up having a match. Not much to really add there, right? Just a little.
I hate how good his punch looks when he throws it. He
He's
throws
good
a
in
really good
general.
working punch,
Yeah.
and we say it a lot of times when we talk about Logan Paul. And when we say that he has no business being this good, it's not because of who he is or anything like that. The dude has not been doing this for very long. He has no business being this good for the short amount of time that he's been doing it. It's almost Kurt Angle like in that how fast he's adjusting to doing it. I'm not saying that he's as good as Kurt Angle or will ever be as good as Kurt Angle. I'm just saying that he
Picks up
is
fast.
learning the craft quickly, just like Kurt did.
Absolutely.
We'll have the people out there with pitchforks if we start saying things like Logan Paul's as good as Kurt Angle.
But
Plus, we're a long way from that anyhow.
Yeah. But we can move on to the final segment if you want, which just was some really good shit.
Yeah.
It was Zayn's decision in the main event match. Rollins pleaded with Zayn in the ring to accept the trade for his safety. He refused, said, "I love you, but go to hell." This is really good stuff. It's just Rollins had great delivery. He just kept telling him like that. That's how much I respect you, man. That's how much I love you. He went back to how long they've known each other and all that. And good shit. But anyways, they had once he said no, they had Bron just beat the shit out of him.
He comes out and the match starts, and it's a tough one.
Yeah, beat the shit out of him, man. He dominated him earlier, shoulder thrusts and suplexes, and Zayn counter with strikes, but gets slammed midair. Rollins watches coldly from ringside. In the mid-match, Breakker taunts the crowd and punishes Zayn from outside, slamming him on the announce table. Zayn mounts a comeback with a sunset flip powerbomb and a tornado DDT, but Rollins remained motionless. Heyman looked uneasy, and then in the final stretch, Breakker crotched Zayn from the top rope and then hits a Frankensteiner. Zayn dodges a spear, lands an exploder, but is cut down by the second spear. Zayn refuses to quit, but Breakker hit 2 more spears, one on the floor, and the referee calls for the bell after Zayn collapses. And then the winner by ref stoppage was Bron Breakker. You don't see these kinds of finishes a lot. Post-match.
That makes him seem like such a badass. Yeah.
Well, those were cool back in the day because they had them very not often as well, so it always felt like a big deal when it happened. That was always one of the finishes I liked to get on the video games back in the day. I really liked the TKOs. Yeah. But the WWE officials rushed in to stop the assault. Rollins praises Breakker, saying Zayn made his bet. Because it looked like for a second that Breakker looked a little bit upset for for a split second, and then Rollins had a stomp on Zayn afterwards. Rollins, Breakker, and Heyman standing tall. 10:33 Eastern Standard Time. I'll toss it to you in a second, but this was some good stuff, man. Everybody involved's great. This is them furthering them actually having issues as being heels, and the match was decent. Again, they're not trying to hit home runs. They're just teasing you with these matches. I guess they're gonna have Seth and Sami have a match at some point here soon, which isn't gonna work out for Sami at all.
No.
What do you think?
Yeah, it's hard to say exactly where they're going to go. I mean, we speculated on it a little bit, but this stuff is great. This is going to be some of the top stuff in the industry, hopefully for the foreseeable future. This is one of those types of groups that could go on for a year or two or longer if booked and handled properly. Man, everybody in this is a star right now, which makes the program feel that much more elevated. The stakes are high. You really want to pull for Zayn here, and it's one of those you go into a movie where you kind of already know how the ending's going to be. We know how the ending of this is going to be. Sammy's going to end up trying to be the hero, and he's going to get obliterated. How we're going to get there, though, is the real story here, and hopefully they do well. And we got a 2.5-hour episode of Raw this week. How about that?
You know what would be something is if Zayn turns with them. I doubt it'll happen, but wouldn't that be some shit?
Right, just like
That's
they
the
just
third guy.
keep beating down every week, and then it's a if you can't beat them, join them type of thing.
Well, no, like maybe like Seth gets like a world heavyweight title shot or something, and then like Zayn's the guy that ends up helping him. I don't know. We'll see. There's a whole bunch of different ways they could go.
Oh, yeah.
I think the main thing is that they're using Sami because he can give them heat, but you never know. They could do whatever they wanted here. But yeah, it was a good episode. I enjoyed it. A lot of direction here. Nothing felt meaningless. It's nice that they're not really using OTs and other motherfuckers on the show like that at this point. They have they're going to keep getting good people, man. It's not slowing down.
The future's looking bright. Hopefully they keep doing it, because this is two weeks of Raw in a row where they did a pretty good job.
Yeah.
And I don't